Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to another Fireside Fridays. This week we're going live with Gonçalo Dias, and he is one of our senior software engineers working with Patrick Fay and Jerry Ordinova. Jerry runs video and partners and integration side of what we do. So this is going to be a good one for all you techies out there. If you're into C#, .NET, AWS Azure, don't miss this one. Stay tuned. All right, Gonçalo, how are you? How are things?
Good morning. It's all good. Happy Friday as well for all of you, especially in Ireland, because it will be a big weekend.
Yeah. Big weekend now. So I think some of the team will be in work today. Some of them will be out. It's Good Friday. It's not an official bank holiday here, but it's a sort of a bank holiday. So I'd say that the office is probably quiet. I'm at home today myself, but you're at home quite literally. You're over in Lisbon.
Yes. Yeah, it was good to come here. I need to do some exams, so the flexibility of the remote is perfect for this situation. I'll be better in Ireland, but it's what it is. We need to adapt.
Yeah, well,
with the remote, it allows us.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When COVID kicked in, when the pandemic was in full effect, I think we learned very quickly how to adapt. So we're still finding our way, right? This thing is perfectly imperfect, but we'll get there. So good to see you. Anyway, it looks sunny over in Portugal.
It is 28 degrees. It's crazy.
That's it. All right, I'm booking some holidays. I'm on the way. Okay,
it's one of your doctors, the sun.
Yeah, I know. Well, the doctor should be prescribing sun for all of us, I think. So there you go. What are you studying at the moment?
So I usually I'm since beginning I'm Microsoft, and I don't want to change that direction now, because for me code is code. Languages, the same as Chinese and Japanese, right? If you want to say something that is generalized and works, and .NET now is open source, and they have a very good investment in development the language, not like a long time ago where they kind of get stuck with the Windows now allows to run in Linux and stuff like that. I think it's not worth to change. For example, Java did allow to run Linux and Microsoft, but now .NET does that too. So it's not worth it to change a backend. Mostly learn a new front-end language or cloud. So for me, it's Microsoft to continue to Azure. However, in Verizon is AWS. My plan is to kind of study Azure, and kind of, since we are with AWS, kind of map or kind of one-to-one services to services, and kind of understand where they differ, and that's it. I mean, learn one and adapt to the other one. It's impossible to know so many technology.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Things change so fast with technology. I had a conversation there not so long ago about it was actually about ChatGPT, and we spoke about it on one of these broadcasts as well. And what we kind of figured was that the future job titles, the future jobs that relate to some of the AI disciplines, they don't even exist today, but they'll be there in 5 years time, maybe shorter than that. So we had a joke about job titles, prompt engineer or AI whisperer, that kind of stuff. But it is true. There's a truism there. Technology moves. Technology doesn't wait for you. Put it that way.
It's complicated to say that, because ChatGPT can't get the context of your business. It's impossible. ChatGPT works if you need to, you need to do something that what it is. It gives you a direction, but it's impossible. I mean, you still need the product owner, and you still need the architects and the engineers to think about the solution. It's impossible to ask ChatGPT to do it will be good. But they will then, you need to purchase a big license for that.
Yeah. Yeah, and Microsoft are in there now, so we know they are the king of the licensing methodology when it comes to software. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But we build our own AI, right? So we've got the AI dash cam, and so I know the guys have AI tools within the business internally as well that give some good engineering experience too.
So yeah, I mean, in our side, in review, I mean, I still don't deal with that part, but it's mostly so it was already there, the system, and it's a huge system, which is a fuel card, where like the customers, they have the system and they integrate it with the fuel card, and they can monitor the purchase of the cars, or I mean on the vehicles, so you can track um, whatever the car was, if your fuels are tracked and are well, because they might have some, they can change the cars, and it can be wrong in a sense, but you know everything because it's getting tracked by the device that is in the car. So it allows to track if they were on the right places when they did the purchase and stuff like that. um, I'm not dealing with the AI yet in this project, but it would be nice. I mean, yeah, I want to change and see more more stuff than rather what I'm seeing right now, like new stuff, because technology allows to bring much more stuff to the table.
Agreed. Yeah, and we spoke about that briefly before we went live. There, you were telling me a little bit about what you're doing now. So you're a software engineer at the moment, right? But you're a man with a plan. You know, you're planning to do much more. So you've got a trajectory in mind by way of what your career could look like. So what's your experience to date, and what do you plan to do next?
Yeah, so to date, I mean, I think I can continue doing this stuff like coding and testing and building components. However, like I'm getting to a time that you need to go with technology, otherwise you get stuck. So the only way forward is really change. You need to adapt. It's not in the hierarchy. I don't really care much about the hierarchy. It's about using stuff rather than building them from scratch all the time. It's not Microsoft is going this direction with low code solutions like
Yeah,
Power Platform and stuff like that. There are so many components you just integrate and they work per se. Sometimes building stuff from scratch, and we are into a time now that it's kind of tricky going this direction all the time. So the idea is to for example, in cloud now you have the functions. It's you build small components that do the thing simple, and it should be just one file pretty much, and you can connect all your business file per file. Of course, we all know that it's impossible sometimes, but there are components that they can be very small and decoupled. Um, but that's the direction. So yeah, I mean, from the software engineer perspective right now, the plan is to go to an architect, because I like to see things connected and solve solutions, not to be in the component all the time,
yeah,
and try to improve a couple of milliseconds. I rather prefer to see because your team, it will not your team might get faster your component, but the overall solution is what matters, is the overall solution, not your small component will make a big difference.
mm,
And yeah, I mean, if we are trying to improve a couple of milliseconds, you will rely on .NET to do that. .NET team will do that. Your collections, your data structures, they will get better by the language itself. Your code just should be simple. But since we are on that right now, I think right now for me is the time to embrace other stuff. So Azure, at least they give you free certifications
yeah,
if you go to Microsoft builds and stuff like that, and you can improve your skills over there. AWS, I think they do the same, but it's not 100%. It's 50%, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. I think so.
Um,
Yeah, that's interesting. So I take it that you've got some. I know Azure is a bit of a passion of yours. So I take it the studying you're doing at the moment is related to Azure then, or what are you
Yeah,
in?
yeah. They offer the certificates, so it's a way that you can prove that you know the stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I did some exams while I was in the company, and I'm just not doing since November. Last one I did was AZ 204, which is the Azure developer. Now it's the plan is to make the Azure administrator and then the architect, which is 305. That one is huge, and by so I use one of the platforms that company offers to the employees, which is Cloud Guru,
Yes.
and that's a good advantage, to be honest, because you have you have the sandboxes for you to practice. You don't need to create an account.
Yeah.
You can just play with it and be familiarized.
Yeah.
However, like, because we are on AWS, it's tricky. I mean, I need to be in both of them. I can't be just on Azure and do whatever, because I need to know our our environment in the company as well.
Yeah.
But when you go to solutions architects, there are so many things, and even the administrator, the course is like 10 hours. Just watching, then you need watching plus the labs. It will take you a lot of time.
Yeah, I think when you become a true solutions architecture, it becomes a little bit less about the specific technology stack, unless you're just a subject matter expert there. You need to be able to choose the right solution for something as opposed to make the stack fit. So, but that might I think that factors into your own plans around career as well. So I think you're targeting becoming an architect over time, or am I right there?
Well, I target to be whatever makes me more happy, to be honest, and where I bring value to a company. Uh,
Yeah,
Again, because I don't see like knowing all details the best in technology wide spectrum, right? There are so many nice things in technology, like even data. You can analyze a lot of stuff, like
yeah,
bring knowledge about your data, and you with that you can create projects based on the data you already have.
yes,
um, Even a data engineer can be highly respected in terms of what they bring to a company if they have the data and they know the domain. um, so again, like coding, it's you are trying to solve a problem. You are not making business. You need to know your business and then you solve the problem. But again, the problem itself, sometimes you can create other ideas from just the data, or having other solutions that are better for your what you're trying to solve.
agreed. Yeah, we interviewed Alex Laurie, Alessandro Laurie, the CTO. It's gone back a few months now, but data and data science is a particular passion of his, amongst many other things. But we had a moment where I asked him. I was just fascinated by what he was talking about at the time. But I asked him, "Are we a fleet management slash telematics slash that's in the map company, or are we a data company?" We were talking about Tesla and that type of thing as well. And he said, "No, we're a data company, and I've been trying to persuade Peter Mitchell and John Malanphy of that fact for years." So it all depends on how you view the world and how you view technology, I think. But that's pretty cool. So here's a question for you then, right? So I get your passion and understand what you're doing. What are some of the cooler things you're working on at the moment?
In the company.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, I can tell whatever I was dealing with in the past months, because that was, well, where I was, like focused on. But the project that the company already has and we are on, which is the full card, it's already very interesting. Still SQL, but it works. I mean, it's just adding messages to some database, and you can correlate the fuel purchases. And it's a huge project. It's a huge monolith, and the idea is to decouple that monolith into smaller pieces. So since January, not January. Geez, why I said just January? Since June past year, when I joined, we were brought to meetings to like engineers just to talk about the problem we are facing or the company was facing. Try to decouple and have more cohesion on the product and bring people to the domain knowledge and start to decouple the monolith. So the project was pretty much something that runs every day, every morning. That the idea is it connects to customers' SFTPs because the way it works is uh, the so the vehicles of the customers, they do purchase using a fuel card or many fuel cards, and those transactions, they are at the providers, or I mean the providers of those cards.
Yeah.
They have all the transactions or all the purchase that happen for their fuel cards.
Yeah.
And the idea is that those transactions are appended on the provider side, not in the Verizon side. So Verizon needs to sync the transactions to Verizon's databases. So the way it's done is through SFTP. We connect SFTP connections, and the idea is that every day we connect to different customers to get those purchases. But again, there are some logic involved, like there are files that doesn't matter for the case. We are just interested in some files, some file name, some file structure. So the idea is very simple and conceptualized. You just connect, list the files, download the files, and put in our site AWS S3 storage. And the idea is that, again, this is decoupled. We just do that. So the idea was to build a component in AWS Lambda functions that do that. So unfortunately, we couldn't create a file that does that. It's impossible because it does so many things, the component. So the component is already, I think, is with 10,000 lines of code. So it can't be one file. However, is decoupled inside the components. It was also decoupled in the solution space. So we still have another component that will be triggered once the files are downloaded to the storage. Amazon itself will trigger a message that will be appended to a queue, and then another process will start, which will process the purchases. So the idea is we call that component importer. We'll import files. Everything before was kind of coupled. It will import and process. Now the idea is just to import, and another component will deal with the processing.
Okay.
Hope it was clear. It's not so. The idea is just like decouple and make things simple enough that everyone goes there and can change component.
Yeah.
Before it was too much code, too much monolith, and technology is .NET the same, but it was coupled to Microsoft because they use the WinNCP library, which needs Windows operating system, and now this Lambda is OS agnostic. It will run in Linux or Windows or wherever.
When people are writing Lambda functions and getting involved in it in AWS, they often use Python. Did you switch? What kind of language were you using when you were working on Lambda?
It's .NET. Again, as I said, backend, Python is backend too. Is the same. Java, Python.
Yeah.
I don't see worth to go to Python right now because I will just lose time and company will lose money on me. So it's better to use my knowledge. So there is no. However, we created the component. Lee in my team created the component using Node, just for again one file, maybe like 200 lines of code. You can put that in one file, That works, for example, for Node. I mean, the learning curve is pretty standard, I would say.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. No, it's interesting because we talk to people regularly who. Here's why, as a recruiter, I find this conversation fascinating. When we go out looking for Gonçalo Dias, trying to persuade you to come, from Portugal or wherever, a lot of people haven't necessarily worked on different aspects of the AWS services stack. And there's a kind of I want to say there's two things there. There's a fear factor involved with applying for jobs where you don't match 100%. People have this kind of inbuilt barrier to applying. They worry, and then there's also the ambition factor, which is, excuse me, I have to get this thing onto my CV. I have to spend the next 5 years learning whatever it might be. Whereas you're much more, it's almost entrepreneurial in mindset, and that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's no new ideas. I can make what I have fit that and do a good job. And excuse me, in fact, there might actually be benefit to the company and me by not going through that ridiculous learning curve, or do it over time or in your own time or what have you. But it's not like you're made irrelevant just by coming to a company that works in AWS. And if there is agnosticism involved, then that's a good thing, right? Because you can have a solution that does the job.
Exactly. Again, it's like Japanese and Chinese. If they understand English, why should you learn each of them if you are not going there? If you are globally have visibility globally, and they understand your language, which is English, that's fine. Why should you learn their own language if you don't go there? That's my idea. If I don't need to, build games or something that is Java specific, and keep my, my career there, I will go there. But I think technology now is so many languages, and they keep pushing more stuff. For me, at least for me, because I'm not specific to a domain, I think it's worth to just keep myself here and learn more stuff. There is much more stuff to learn. Cloud is huge. It's huge. You can build a whole company in the cloud, and you need to take care of security. You need to take care of certificates. So many things. All your VMs, services. It's huge. If I go that direction, it's I will not allow myself to learn the other parts. The time is just one.
Yeah, very true. Okay, final question for you. We always ask this: who do you recommend? Who's interesting? Everybody's interesting, but who do you recommend as somebody that we could have an interesting chat with next?
So in my team, I didn't got very well, Patrick.
Sorry, either in your team or we do cross-functional teams as well, right? So it could be somebody outside of your specific team. But do you have any recommendations for who we could have a chat with next?
I like to see you chat with Lav.
Lav, okay, that's 2 in a row, right? So Lav, that's it. It's over. So there you go. All right. So I'm going to guess that Lav might not want to get on camera, but we're going to persuade him, right? So that's it. It has to happen now. There's two weeks in a row we've had that recommendation.
Another person you can talk is Ranil. He joined with me. So it's nice to see what his thoughts as well. So just not to compare, myself with someone that was already here, but that they jumped in and now are in their new environment.
Sounds good to me. All right. Well, look, thank you so very much for taking the time to have a chat with us. Look, we really appreciate it. All we're trying to do here is to lift the curtains a bit, let people have a view into life inside Verizon and Verizon Connect. And this is hugely helpful, I think, because people can see the real people behind the brand, behind the product, and behind the fuel cards and everything else that you're going to work on. So thanks a million for that. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, again, for me as well. Thanks for your time. And I it was very, very nice to have you as well.
Awesome. All right. I'll talk to you soon. I'll catch you when you get back to Dublin. I'll see you in the office maybe on a Friday for Market Day. All right.
I'll be there. Yeah. Thanks, Pedro. I'll be
see
there.
you soon. Okay, folks, there you go. Really interesting piece of the Reveal platform, fuel cards, and how the Verizon Connect customer base is able to integrate that aspect of what their fleet do, refueling, keep them safe, protected, and understand exactly what the usage is, where the vehicles, where the fleet is, and so on. So super interesting, makes for sticky customers within a product as well. That's awesome. Okay, so we are going to call it for today, and what I'll do, as always, is to leave you with a view of the 2023 Verizon Credo video. Again, as always, it tells you a little bit about who we are, how we show up. Talk to you soon.
This is our Verizon Credo. It's inspired our culture for almost 20 years. Think of it as a note to self, our declaration of values, a guide for our day-to-day.
Everything we do, we build on a strong network,
systems, and process foundation.
We know our products
and can explain them to customers.
We make it easy for customers to do business with us.
By listening,
anticipating,
and responding.
Integrity is at the core
of who we are.
We know teamwork enables us to serve our customers better and faster.
We run to a crisis, not away.
We deliver superior customer experiences through our products and our actions.
This is our credo.
It keeps us grounded,
aligned,
doing the right things.
It's about who we are,
how we work,
and most of all, who we work for.
We focus outward.
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 We focus outward.
On the customer.